All right, I believe we are live. We're going to be talking today how to transfer a Section 8 voucher um, to another state and another county. And we're also going to be talking about Section 8 portability. Now, one thing that I struggle with communicating to a lot of you guys is I don't believe most of you actually know what to look up for this. I know that because by doing Google searches and YouTube searches, I don't really think y'all know the right questions to ask to even get the basic information for this. And so, hell, I even had a hard time finding the keywords which people actually use to find this program. So, first thing I want to establish is if you have a voucher, if you're in project based housing, if you're in tenant based housing, or you're in possibly subsidized housing, you can take the voucher you have with fair notice to landlord and all the rules we're going to go over. And you would be able to utilize this to move that voucher to another county, possibly another state. So there are lots of different rules. And when it comes to this, some of them I'd like to go over is this. First, you must realize this is about a 45-day process. So it's not going to happen as quickly as most of you like. When you have a housing choice voucher or any other type of voucher, you would need to contact your housing authority and you would speak to the caseworker that's handling your specific voucher. That would be a housing specialist. But in many housing authorities that are in much larger towns, they have what they call a portability specialist that handles that specifically. You're making a request for portability and the transfer wherever it may be. So let's talk about some of those limitations of what you can or cannot do and what's at risk and figure out what to do. Now I got to tell you guys, look, the operational guide for this is around 400 pages, and I'm not we're not going over all of it. So I now to do a few introductions, I am the owner of Section8Consulting.com. Nearly a lot of people know me when it comes to helping assisting people with the vouchers, discrimination, and other housing issues. And I have even more that I deal with when it comes to portability because most people don't want to spend a lifetime trying to figure this out. And I think a lot of people realize there's just not a lot of great advice on YouTube or Google in that respect for this. So people tend to book consults so they can just get through this without spending weeks, if not months, trying to wade through all the different things, rules, policies, and procedures that may be involved with portability and the many other things that come along with utilizing housing authorities for vouchers. So, long-winded, I know. Now, I'm going to be pulling directly from my own guide. I wrote my own specific guide on this. This is after 20 years, so I do truly understand it, including federal regulation, federal code, policies, procedures, and standards. So, your initial PHA. So, just for the terminology, PHA is going to be the housing authority you're dealing with. For those that don't know, housing authorities are not HUD. They are county employees. That building is owned by the county or the state, so they're not HUD. So, PHA just means I'm referring to a housing authority. So, PHAs may allow portability moves during a 12-month period. So, in most cases, if you just received your voucher, you would likely need to wait that 12-month period. Now, that is not the end of the world. There are many examples in which housing authorities may say, you know what, you just received your voucher. That's okay. We're going to allow you to port within the county. We may allow you to port somewhere within the state, or they may allow you to do out of state for many different reasons, and we'll cover that in a minute. So the initial PHA may decide to allow portability when the move would in response to a special family request. For example, employment opportunities, harassment, domestic violence, and other issues may be going on. So those are some specific instances. Now, I've known cases where nothing was required. Somebody just received a voucher and left from Seattle all the way to Florida. I'm not suggesting that's the case with everywhere, but just be aware in most cases you are going to have to set out your 12 months. Now, if you've had your Section 8, you've been in project-based housings, subsidy housing, or you've held on to your voucher for years and years, this is generally not going to be a problem for you. We'll just have to speak about the additional requirements at the end. So the PHA may choose not to impose a 1-year residency requirement or allow portability that immediately for all applicants. Residency is determined based on the family's domicile, okay, meaning their home at the time. And so you would submit an application for assistance. So you're thinking, okay, well, there's an application. No, there's not. That's just meaning you pick up the phone, you call the housing authority, establishing whether or not they have a housing specialist or how portability specialist there, and then opening up that dialogue to see if you're meeting the minimum requirements. Um, Income requirements. Now, I think it's fantastic that people want to move all over the place, but here's the deal: if you're living somewhere in the deep parts of Louisiana, like for instance, I grew up there, vouchers and housing over there are real cheap, and so are the vouchers. Do you think that states like New York are going to want that cheap voucher? No, because the value of the voucher is somewhere in some southern little town with three people where you can rent an apartment for $400. That's a worthless voucher in the state of California and New York. So sometimes you can't port to places simply because what you have is just worthless to certain states. Of course, they don't want to deal with that. So in that case, they may offer to absorb it. In other words, they say, well, you know what? We appreciate that little discount coupon you got in your hand, but what we're going to do is make you apply in our process for us. We'll absorb it and you give it back to Louisiana. And what we're going to do is just not make you wait. We're going to issue a voucher, but you still have to meet the requirements of our state and rules here. So, residency requirements associated with portability are different for participants in HUD-VASH. As a notation, for those of you that don't know what HUD-VASH is, it's in one of the many programs out there. I know we've spoken extensively about many programs, including 811, 504, 202, and these are all subsections of federal code or regulation that speak to regards of funding levels. So HUD-VASH is for veterans. Let me get straight to the point on that. Income requirements. Family must be income eligible in the area where the family initially leases the unit. So obviously that's already met because you have the voucher. So if that applicant or that family decides to exercise the portability, they must meet the applicable income limits of the receiving PHA. Receiving means once you arrive in whatever city or state you're going to. Look, the cost of living in San Francisco is definitely not the cost of living somewhere in Georgia. All right. So you got to meet that. You can't simply be a broke joke and go somewhere differently. I don't mean that offensively. I just mean it I guess in a humorous way. Income eligibility does not apply to a participant families that is income. Well, I guess we should say that it can be redetermined when the participant moves. In other words, as you're making communication with the housing specialist or portability specialist for your state, and then you complete the beginning requirements for that, you can make contact with the other housing authority where you intend on moving to and seeing if it is a possibility that you would meet their income requirements. So I have to remember, guys, sometimes I try to get very technical in these videos, and that's great for people that probably graduated with a law degree, but I'm going to try to tone it down a little bit. All right, family responsibilities. To begin with the portability process, the family contacts the initial PHA, meaning housing authority, to provide the name of the location which the family wishes to move. If more than one PHA administers a voucher program in that particular area, then you would need to figure out which housing authority it would be. For instance, in big metropolitan areas, it's possible to have up to 3 housing authorities in one county, believe it or not. So that being considered, then you would need to prove in some cases whether or not, if you're down on a fixed income, Social Security or Social Security disability, you would need to show that you're actually moving because of an employment. So you can't arrive just without a job. There must be something happening there, or you must be on receiving a paycheck from the government based on you receiving Social Security disability, survivor benefits, something, judges, judgment in court, lawsuit, something, you know. All right, so moving on from that. You would start what we call submitting a request for an RFTA. If you guys don't know what that means, it is a request for tenancy approval. And that would be done through the PHA or housing authority during the term of receiving the PHA voucher. All right. So the family will also need to go through a process. Now, remember, there's a little bit of bureaucracy with this. So as you're communicating with the initial packet you're going to get for request to move from one state or county to another, it takes time for the housing authority to communicate that information to the other housing authority. The housing authority that you're wishing to deal with in another state or county must not be going through a housing crisis, whether even if they let you there absorb or bill it, that there would actually be something actually to rent. There are places in the country right now where if you ported there, you would have no opportunity or chance at utilizing a voucher. It would be an absolute failure. And that's an important reason why I consult with a lot of people, is because sometimes you arrive in places with the moving truck and you find out it's just hell on wheels. You cannot find a place. It isn't what you thought. And then here's what happens. So now you're dealing with a new housing authority and you're out there and you're looking for a place. And most of you don't realize you can get extensions. So you don't do that. And then you end up losing the voucher you've had for 10 years. So, I always tell people, don't gamble with this. Look, it's not the job. Think of this, where you receive your voucher currently, that housing specialist is not going to do a 4-hour seminar with you to teach you and apprise you of all the policies, procedures, and rights you have. In other words, you're going to get as little information from them as possible as necessary for them to get you off the phone and to complete the process. They're not going to give you the long story or the warnings of all the different things that happen. That more or less ends up being my job. I mean, well, not my job. It's only my job when people hire me to do so. But there's lots of ways this can go bad. So, beyond all that, you're also considering your living expenses, security deposits, and moving costs, rental approval. You have HQS, which is your inspection. So you have standard procedures. So once you enter the market and they either absorb or report that, then you arrive there. They give you a voucher. You've got 90 days to use it. Can you find a place? Do they meet all the same applicable rules of the landlord? Going to match, be able to pass their HQS, which is a housing inspection there. So, mandatory and discretionary limitations on families and moves and denial of requests. There can be lots of reasons for denials, and there can also be lots of reasons why they may grant it. Um, one thing I'm going to tell you is there's a whole subsection under Title 24 CFR 982.552 and 982.553. Look, housing authorities are like the Wild West. They intend to make their own policies and procedures. They choose whether or not you're really going to leave. The only thing you can really do is present your best case to do so. And then if they're happy to let you have it, then they will do so to move you out of that county. And then you become the problem of the new housing authority. So let's talk about the absorbing process. So there's two different things at play here when it comes to that. So you have billing and absorbing. That is when, say, I live in New York, and I'm now moved to the state of Florida. Florida goes, all right, well, you're welcome to come down here to Florida. And what we're going to do is every 30 days, we're going to send a bill to the city of New York, Manhattan, and we're going to bill them for your rent over here in Florida. Okay. It means the state of Florida don't want to give you anything. They're just simply going to keep charging New York. Now, how much do you think the housing authority in New York would enjoy being billed for a person that doesn't even live in their state anymore? Not that much. So that's what they call billing. The better option in most cases is going to be the absorbing. That's where they say, you know what, come on down. Go ahead and drive your car from New York. Let's get on down to Florida. When you get here, ring the doorbell. And so you arrive there, and what they say is, now look, we like your New York voucher, but unfortunately, we're going to let you just tell you to turn that in, to relinquish it. And what we're going to do is we're not going to make you get on a waiting list and to go through a bunch of craziness. We already know that you're able to get into the system, so we're going to absorb you, which means they're just going to pick you up, but not make you wait like everybody else. So when you arrive, as long as you're meeting the qualifications, the standards they have for income and other reasons to have that particular voucher in their county, then you become a part of that county, and then they start footing your bill. In other words, they're giving you a voucher based on the monies there in the state of Florida rather than billing New York. And I'm trying to put it in a simple way, guys. We could get real analytical with this, and we could go into code and all that, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you understand the purpose. Now, you do understand a lot of you guys, some for good reasons, some for bad reasons, have gotten all kinds of accommodations. Oh, well, I've got to have 5 bedroom. I need a bedroom for every dog. I need one for the oxygen machine. I need one for the yoga room. And then you get to the next PHA and they don't want to hear your bullshit. Okay. Now, I realize a lot of you really are disabled. You need that. But you should understand that when you leave the city of New York or whatever city you're in and you arrive at a new housing, it doesn't necessarily they're going to give you any of those accommodations. They will reevaluate you based on their policies and procedures. And it's not an automatic you get grandfathered in. So when you leave that housing authority you've been with for 20 years using that voucher and you go to another state, they can say, you know what, we're just going to give you the bare minimum. You're not getting anything extra. We're not accommodating nothing. If you want these accommodations, we'll start the process this year in 2021, and then we'll move through it through 2022. And we feel like that you really need that, and you can prove your case based on our policies, then we'll give it to you. I've seen that play out. The other option I've also seen play out is when somebody's going through this process and already ready to move all their stuff in the car, get halfway down, and the house goes, well, we've kind of changed our mind about this. We really don't have any vouchers to give. Good luck. Now you have nothing for New York, you have nothing for Florida, and you're in a hotel. That rarely happens, but I'm just saying that thing you really do need to know what you're doing with this. Yes, it is a straightforward procedure to do so. The process over time, the average is, I think, around 20 to 45 days. You know how housing authorities, a lot of them are not functioning that well. They're not that organized. So you should really kind of expect that, one house, they send an email to one housing authority, it'll sit there for a week before they answer it. And remember that when you have two housing authorities with two different attitudes, two sets of rules, sometimes they don't even like each other communicating. So it drags the case out, okay? That's why I tell you guys, look, when you deal with portability, unless you really have done this and you've been successful with it, it's a lot to deal with. That's why I'm not. I deal with Section 8 folks and their portability requests a lot, and so far we've done all right with that. I've had several people successful in their own when they managed to move to some of the less populated cities. So I'm going to take on some questions here. 901 Mommy. Yes, I need this. I am trying to port my voucher. And Orlando, can I transfer it to Puerto Rico? You certainly can. And so Orlando was asking about that. Let me give you a couple of good example, guys, that I've been talking to people about. And that would be that I had one lady, she was in Detroit, and she didn't like the neighborhood, obviously. She was up front. She goes, Jay, I'm retired. With the money I have now, the money I've received, that's what I'm always going to have. And that's not going to change. So why can't I just move somewhere else? I said, well, you certainly can. And we moved her to Honolulu. Okay. So she's on a fixed income somewhere different, except it's just a better place. I'm not beating up Detroit. Detroit's coming back up again, and they're doing nice things out there again. But there was a point when Detroit's city government was struggling, and it was a good time for her to go. And to be frank with you, if you're going to be broke and retired, you might as well do it on the beach. Why the hell would you want to live around gunshots and activity? Two cases for Puerto Rico, actually. Puerto Rico, your money goes a lot further, but you have to understand that Puerto Rico is behind the times in many things. So I'm not saying it's a third world country. I'm just saying it's a tropical island, and it's not heavily supported by the United States, despite it being a U.S. territory. It is not a U.S. state, but it is a U.S. territory. We all seen what happened 4 or 5 years ago during the hurricane when the president didn't want to give a nickel to turn the power on for that country. Well, I should say that territory. And so those people struggle badly. So you do take some big risk. Now, yeah, your dollar's worth an incredible amount of money in Puerto Rico, but I'm just suggesting if you're not used to living on a tropical island, you might want to think about that, look into it before you shoot out to Puerto Rico. Now, I've had a lot of people that are Puerto Rican contact me, and I see nothing wrong with going to Puerto Rico. But I'm just saying, those hurricanes will tear you up. But so they will as well in Louisiana, Florida, and other places. Okay. So we got a comment here from 901 Mommy. Once a state accepts you, is it possible for your voucher to go up? And I'm trying to leave Memphis to go to Atlanta. Well, once you've cleared your PHA, your housing authority, and you've gained acceptance, you've got a firm commitment from them to accept. They should be giving you instructions as to when you should be moving down there and a timeline in which to receive. So if you've not received an RTFA packet and that's not been transmitted, you're not clear about all the requirements, and you're probably not far as long as you think you are. Another comment, Ali Shaker. Can we move states in Section 8? Yes, but you're broadbanding that, Ali, or I'll just call you Mr. Shaker. So, Mr. Shaker, let's think about this. I don't know. When you refer to Section 8, I don't know if you're referring to, hey, I'm in project-based housing, I'm in tenant-based housing, I'm in subsidized housing, I've got a HUD-VASH voucher, I got a Section 8 voucher. Look, Mr. Shaker, it depends on what you have as to what you'd be able to do. Some vouchers do not allow you to move out the county or out the state. Some do. So we'd have to establish that first. Uh, so, Mommy 901 Mommy says, can voucher prices go up due to the price of living? Well, I think that goes into looking at whether or not you have rent reasonableness. Those things are really, it depends on where you're living, the AMI, the area medium income, okay, and then what you're receiving as an income, whether it's fixed, payroll, whatever it may be. So there's many different things considered on that. Just like a landlord can raise your rents every 6 months, do you realize that when you have a voucher, you can make a request for reconsideration of how much you've been allocated on that voucher? You see what I'm saying? So yeah, there's ways to do it, but most of you don't know. And I gotta be honest. Google's not a good teacher, and the people that work at the housing authority, most of them are just. I don't have a lot of nice things to say about them. Most of them just don't give a shit, to be honest. So you're lucky if you get any answers out of most housing authorities. So, anyways, we'll move on. Trisha Amar, am I getting a Section 8 if I'm waiting on approval of disability and SSI and have no income? Well, that's hard to say, Trisha. There's a lot of things being considered when you apply for a housing choice voucher. I can tell you one thing one reason you may not get a voucher is if you have no income. So there needs to be established income either by Social Security disability, or something coming in. Just because you've applied for something, we all know that disability checks and Social Security checks can take 3 to 5 years before you may win or lose those cases. So I'd have to know a lot more about your case to be able to give you an answer. Guys, you should remember something. If it took 20 years and tens of thousands of pages of federal regulation code, policies, procedures, and data manuals for me to figure out most of this, then when you ask me questions and it all equates to a yes and no, that's too simple of an answer. It always is. So what I'm saying is a lot of you want advice and you think it's as quick and easy as a yes and no. Oh well, yeah, that'll work. It's not true. Most things to do with vouchers and Section 8 and all the other things that are involved, there's many things to be considered. That's why I end up talking for people for a half hour just to establish part of their case details. But I understand why a lot of y'all just do ask simple questions with the expectation that maybe that one answer is going to kind of fix it all. But anyways, I'm gonna move on. Gandhi Gorel. I hope is it Candy? Oh, Candy Girl. So you found a very clever way of spelling that. I like that because you know what? I was looking at that name and I was like, well, how the hell do you say that? So, Candy Girl. I'm porting out of Hawaii to San Antonio. All right, gotcha. So, you're moving down here to Texas around me. I'm in Houston. I just told my caseworker I'm moving and she's doing the process. Does it matter which office I turn the paperwork into? SHHA or Bexar? You want to turn it into the particular county and area that you're established as being a resident in. So if you're in San Antonio, or you're in Hawaii, so wherever you're in Hawaii, paperwork must go to the places you intend first that you're living in, the county and area you're living in, and then if wherever it is you're moving, it should go to that specific county and region. Just because a region area has two different areas like SHHA and Bexar, you got to pick one because once you do this, there's no rolling back to that. So you got to figure out which one you want to deal with. I'm sorry that's not as good an answer as I'd like to give you, but it's true. So, well, looks like portability is not a popular topic. It's crazy because every week I talk on here 3 times a week live to you guys answering questions, and I can think of 1,000 times y'all have asked me about portability, but yet when I make an actual live video about it to address these questions, only 20 people show up. That's disappointing. But that's all right. So, if y'all have any other questions regarding Section 8 housing, how to transfer to move to other states, counties, or the portability process, I'm happy to assist. If you're fed up with the process, don't understand it, too old, too elderly, whatever it may be, I own Section8Consulting.com. You're welcome to consult with me. Matter of fact, let me give you that information real quick. That's only for people that absolutely need this, okay? Because these are tough times. People don't have money to burn. I get that. So, the only time you should be contacting me is if you absolutely can't figure it out, or it's not going the way you expected, or you're the type of person that can't deal with a lot of stress. Okay. I'm not here to make a living off this stuff. I'm just trying to help you guys. Um, so let me give you a few things here, guys. I'm going to give you a link for the booking part of this. There. Okay. So it's in the live chat. You can also find the links and all in the body of the description. That's for those that are struggling with this process. I can't even say this other name. So Hakume, Gammy. I'm going to call you Gammy. All right. How about that? So if my dad is already on the waiting list for like 10 years, can I possibly grade him by changing his preferences? Okay, so I believe that what you're asking me is something different than the portability that we're talking about, and I get that. So you want to know about Section 8? Yeah, well, there are ways. First of all, you have recertifications every year, which means life changes. You get older, you get more, your health goes a little bit, you got more problems. Maybe you lost your home during the pandemic, now you're homeless. So yes, as your case changes and your life changes, your answers should change. If Dad has not changed his answers, it would have been an ideal time to, update that. One thing the housing authorities take very seriously is you reporting changes in income on a 30-day basis. They're not waiting 1 year. If they catch you not changing your income up and down as it goes up and down, they can put you out of the program. Okay, so out of all the things they do require, that's probably the more serious one. But why would Dad need to change anything? If he's already got what he needs as a voucher, why even change the answers? He's already got what he needs. There's no reason to do anything further unless Dad is trying to move somewhere different or change something. A voucher is a voucher, and what it pays pays. It's not going to. He's not going to be able to magically get a different kind after a decade. They may convert it over when he turns 62, or if he somehow suffered a stroke and became disabled, they may switch it over to 811 or 202. But outside of that, you're not going to see any major differences there. So, all right. I think that's about all the questions I see. Well, I'm going to have to make a more popular video. I think next time I'll take lighter fluid, do like the teenagers do, jump off the roof, snap your neck, light your hair on fire. You get 1 million views. If I actually try to make something about something that's important to society, I get 20 views. We do live in a very fickle world, don't you think? That when you try to help people, it's not worth anybody watching it. But if you're willing to snap your neck, set yourself on fire, you get trillions of views and you're instantly a millionaire and an ignorant little bastard. But for those of you who did join me, I hope in some respects this does help you. Maybe I should have made YouTube videos back in the 80s and 90s, but I don't even think YouTube existed. Hell, I don't even think we had good computers then. It'd have been interesting watching me on dial-up, right? We'd have had to wait for that to make all that noise, and then you know how that worked out. The webcam probably would have been a 500-pound camcorder from RCA. It would have been probably almost black and white too. It could have been. All right, so I got some more questions here. Anyways, hey, welcome back. I want to put my voucher HCV from the ghetto apartments to a rural setting, preferably a small house. Any tips on how to do this? Well, this video is loaded with tips. I'll tell you what I can do. I can give you the operational PHI guide for it. It's about 39 pages. Anyways, shoot me an email. I'll give you the whole thing. You can read through it. It's pretty decent. It doesn't cover every housing authority policy, but it gives you the entire premise of the program and how you could probably utilize that. That's a thing, guys. You know, that's a Band-Aid, really. But as a beginner part, anyways, what you'd want to do is contact your housing specialist or your housing portability specialist and then initiate an RTAF packet from that housing authority with the intent and understanding of where you want to go, another county or state, and see whether or not that would be possible. There's many things to be considered, obviously. Candy Girl says, I'm going to make an appointment with you because I'm interested in this one homeownership course. You know what, Candy? You should visit Sunday. I'm doing a live video. You know what, guys? We'll be talking, by the way, Sunday, about utilizing your vouchers to purchase a home. Okay. It's a very serious topic. It's one of the toughest things we can do. Out of all the things that I provide and have provided 7 years on YouTube and over 20 now, almost 21 years on Google, I can tell you one thing. Portability process is difficult. Then we have discrimination cases I deal with that are pretty damn complex. Okay. Then above that, we have utilizing vouchers to purchase a home. That is the most complex, and it does take an incredible amount of effort and time to do it. Because regardless of this, it's not simply going, hey, I've got a, let me grab this real quick and show you. So I've got a voucher here. Can I go ahead and exchange that for a house? Some people are under the delusion that that's all they're going to do. Hey, man, here's the voucher. Could I just sign for my house? Look, if your mind is framed that way, this is not going to be the program for you, okay? Because that means you don't understand. Homeownership is a very serious deal. It's the most serious thing you're going to do in life, and you have to be committed to that 6 to 8 months. It's a lot of conversations. It's a lot of meeting the different things we have to deal with. And I'm not the only party involved in this process of that. You also have to deal with a real estate agent and a broker, okay? They have to be licensed and certified by HUD. In addition to that, you have to deal with me as a consultant, the broker, and there's 2 other parties that would be involved in the home purchase process. So there's 4 parties in total, okay? And in the process, if you've done this before, probably 4 months, but it's somewhere between the 4, 6, or 8 months. A lot of things along the course are going to have to be changed. We have to look at credit, income, how long you've been employed. And so anyways, this Sunday, I spoke an hour without really taking a half hour without even taking a breath, going deep into that in the last video about it last Sunday. This Sunday, I'm going to do a lighter version of it to help y'all kind of digest the information a little bit better. And this time, it'll help you decide whether or not you're brave enough to go through it. For those that are persistent and can deal with adversity and understand how tough it can be, and you can get through that, you'll get a house. Okay. For those of you that think this is going to be 3 steps to a cupcake, bullshit, no. So those of you that require everything instantly, you got to snap and lose your mind when the cheeseburger don't have cheese on it, and you snap and lose your mind at the Burger King when you don't get it your way right away. This will really make you go mental. So look, this is for people that can absolutely handle it, that want this badly. If you can do it, if you got that kind of persistence, then I'm happy to deal with you. But if you're one of these people that got an attention span of a 3-year-old and just can't handle more than 2 days of this, then home ownership is not for you anyways, okay? You're not ready for that. You need a little bit more time to grow emotionally, physically, whatever. But to letting you guys know. Now, look, this is for anybody at any age, so I don't want to discourage any seniors. I think the best clients for home ownership are people that are older. So if you're 90, 100, I think that you're also very ideal. Do not let me discourage anybody who is a senior. I also want to say I'm not going to discourage anybody from utilizing a voucher to purchase a home that has a disability, and that includes you that have mental disabilities, okay? I realize there's different ways to say that, but I'm just going to say it that way. So, look, I've got people with Asperger's, man, that have unbelievable IQs that could get through this. Sometimes they struggle emotionally. I've got other people that are, functional schizophrenics. In other words, they live a rather brilliant life. So I don't believe that people with disabilities should in any way consider themselves not good enough to go through this. I think the people that have struggled the most with trying to utilize vouchers for a home are people that are self-entitled. They were raised with parents as a young child to believe that everything's a silver spoon. Those are the people that struggle the most and just don't get it. So I just, I'm trying to help you guys understand. If you have that kind of personality, homeowners, you're not ready for that yet. If you're really wanting to put your time in, you're willing to work with me, it's going to work. So, all right, let's take a look at a few questions here, guys. 20 views or 2 views, you're still a big help. I appreciate that, mommy. Anyway, he says, hey, I'm listening. Gamenji, Gamey, call you Gamey. Thank you. You're most welcome. Troy M. Todd. By the way, thank you for your time and help. No problem, Mr. Todd. Gamey says, Troy, yes, usually, unless you live in a county where you apply, you have to live there. Miranda Nelson, it's been a minute since I've seen your name in my chat window, so welcome to the channel. Thank you for the information and your time. Well, thank you very much. Hey, guys, you know what? When y'all thank me like that, it means a lot. It means more than most things. Do you realize that most people utilize me and never ever say thank you about anything? They simply get what they want and then they vanish. I know that courtesy is a lost art in these days, and that everybody prefers to leave 1 star reviews and 5 star reviews, things like that. Play God with the star system and all that. And courtesy has completely been lost. But I do appreciate when people say thank you. I'm actually quite disturbed that anybody would have a social, have a family or a social circle that didn't understand the concept of thanking one person for taking their time to assist another. That's a strange concept, right? All right, so Pamela Foster, welcome back. If you're the same Pamela Foster I remember, you mentioned portability, switching to 811. Did I misunderstand that, or is it an attachment to portability? Well, let's think of portability as a separate process. So well, let's not think of it as a separate process. Let's take a look at the 3 ways this could work. Hey, I've got a housing choice voucher. I use that voucher to go pick a place I wanted to live. That tells me right there that's portability at its best. Or you went to a housing authority, you applied and they said, hey, you know what? We've got project based apartments. We own these. You can move in. And so if you have a project based voucher, which means the funding is attached to you, then that may need to be converted. Or if it's a tenant-based voucher, better known as subsidized. So that's the thing. I'm about to give you all a lesson on all the different names. All equate all these different names as being the same thing. Low-income housing is different than affordable housing. Affordable housing is different than subsidy housing. Subsidy housing is different than a housing choice voucher, and so on. And so each one of these present different cases as to whether or not you could port. Some would only allow you to port in the county. And to be frank with you, if I kind of dive into that right now, I feel like all I'm going to do is confuse the hell out of a lot of you. So I'll probably make a very, very short video, possibly a little drawing. You know what? It took me the first 4 or 5 out of 20 years. It actually took a while for the light bulb to go off in my head that these operated differently. And they do have different sets of policies for it. Looking back at comments, let's see. Anyway, says, I like your communication style. It changes every day. Some days I've had no sleep. Some days I'm refreshed. Today I feel like a jack in a box. I feel like I can pop out and teach the world. There are other days I don't really want to look at y'all. But either way, I hope you enjoy the way I communicate. So, Miranda Nelson, I've been working on getting my Section 8 in my town. It sucks. I can't wait to get the voucher so I can leave New York. I believe you were referring to as New York. I don't blame you. Look, we're all in a hurry to get somewhere. Half my New Yorkers and New Jersey people flew down to Florida. My California people I think they all caught the same bus to Las Vegas. The people in Las Vegas almost rioted and go, why the hell are y'all here? You got to go. There's no more room. We've already got enough gambling and prostitutes here. Y'all got to go back to California. I thought it was so funny because it took about 5 minutes to fill up Nevada. So I'm still having to port people up to Oregon and Washington, and now they're starting to raise hell. Quit sending everybody up here. And so for a year, I've been watching people that have lived in one specific part of the U.S., this migration back and forth. It's crazy. So, yeah, I do understand it. It is a giant pain in the ass. But let me tell you something, guys. When you start a process and you learn this and you live through that particular part of life, that adversity, and it's only going to make you stronger. And for those of you that have got kids, they're going to see how you're reacting. They're going to see what's in your playbook. They're going to say, you know what? Despite all that shit being against my dad or mom, all that pressure, they still managed to handle it professionally. They still managed to get through it. They dealt with it appropriately like a grown person, and they got through the adversity. That's a lot of what I would like to see out of a lot of you when I consult with you, is that you have the capacity to take on a lot of bullshit, live through it, shake it off, and keep moving. Some of you hit adversity like a roadblock. When adversity comes, it's like a brick wall, and you don't know how to get through it. So you develop complaining spirits and other stuff. So in other words, it's very easy to take you out and get you to say, fuck it. that system that you're in, Section 8 and housing and all that, that is a definitely set up to make people want to give up. Look, if I'm telling you ahead of time, look, it takes this many days to get through this process, you should expect a lot of people with attitudes, things to go badly, but the result's always the same at the end. So if I'm giving you a crystal ball reading and I've seen it play out and I know that this is what's going to happen a few weeks from now, then why are you still laying in your bed acting like you're neurotic, that you don't understand? I already explained it all, but you still insist on being a nervous wreck as if nobody had educated them. And that's part of what I do when dealing with you guys is try to help you see what's going to happen before it happens so you could sit comfortably through the wait. But some prefer pain. Some people seem to want to enjoy the painfulness of going through this process. So, anyways, I'm not suggesting that Section 8 is a pain in the ass, but it really is. Anybody else got questions for me, guys? Because we're approaching 40 minutes, and I don't think there's much more to say about this. I am going to give y'all the PHI guide real quick. Lovely 39 pages. I think y'all can utilize this. Look, this is not a definitive guide. This is here to give you some parameters for this. So I'm copying this into the chat window. For those of you that are able to see this live chat, there's a link, okay? I want you to read those 39 pages. And remember, that's a taste of it. And what it does is it summarizes things so you kind of get a good understanding. Wandering around YouTube, you're eventually going to end up on a website where you don't belong. And bad things will happen on Google because there's lots of crazy people wanting to get about advice. So I'm suggesting to you guys, anytime I'm providing documentation directly from the Department of Urban Development and telling you that's their policies and procedures, you would be wise to read that. Because do you really want to watch 900 videos of people making 3-minute videos trying to convince you that in 2 simple steps, you're going to get a voucher? You see, there's lots of rodeo clowns on YouTube. Lots. These children today, as I've always mentioned in my videos, today they are the master fidget spinner. Next week, they're going to be the master of the stock market. And the week after that, they will be the new toilet paper company. You see my point? You got lots of jackasses rolling around YouTube that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. I'm just being honest. I see it every day. You know, there's no difference between them and party clowns. When you hire a party clown, they're there to entertain you. That is it. They're not out there to give you anything worthwhile. So if y'all find that offensive, then oh well. That's the taste of YouTube. Profanity and reality all mixed into one big cocktail. Let's see. Kimmy Clay 73, thank you so very much. Thank you back. Candy Girl, thank you for your time and expertise in Section 8. Appreciate you. Dyra W, I hope I said that right, and said Brights back to me. Appreciate that. Roland Bays, welcome back, my friend. Good to see you in the video. Today we're talking about portability. And, you know, as I always end my videos, it always starts good and Christian, doesn't it? Talking very professionally, you guys. But the minute for some reason, when I get about 30, 40 minutes into a video, and I start thinking about the housing authority, how do all my videos end? They're usually profanity laced because my reaction to this world and people that administer Section 8 and the HUD and the housing authority, it hits a special spot with me that just angers me intensely. That the people that need this the most, people that are seniors, special needs children that can't survive without an oxygen machine, people that have worked all their life, can't get a fucking nickel out these people. And I think about that, and it builds with me when I make these videos. It builds because when I get to the end, and I've got to watch a man that's a paraplegic, okay, roll his wheelchair in the woods because a little ignorant fucker that works at the housing authority says, well, we're so sorry. You didn't score high enough. Here are some scented trash bags. Please get the fuck out the parking lot. That's the garbage I deal with every day. So, and what I'm talking about is not people. I'm talking about the housing authority abusing people. Half of you worked all your life. You paid your taxes. In return, what do you get? You get a sassy mouth, ignorant asshole on the phone that won't give you the fucking time of day. And I see seniors being abused. I see the disabled, the mentally disabled, all being abused. You're at the power and will of some little girl that just got a job there and she got her GED out of a fucking bubblegum machine. And you guys get harassed. You don't get nothing out of them. Nothing but fucking excuses. I watched this play out for a year during this pandemic. Let me tell you something. For a year, where the fuck is all that money the U.S. government gave you? They got time to paint the walls and get the newest computer, put in leather sofas, and talk shit on Eyewitness News about how they're building subsidized housing, but not a single fucker ever got a voucher out of them. So where exactly is all this money that they're all bragging about? Who got these vouchers? I take a look at some of these housing authorities, and I see that I've said it over and over. You go down there to Nancy's house, the director of the housing authority. Who's got the voucher? Her lawn man's got one. One of her 8 maids has got one. Friends and family and constituents and grandchildren have all got it. But you, the seniors, the disabled, parents with special needs children, you think you get anything from them? No. I literally have to go after these people half the time. It makes me sick. Nothing gives me more gravity and more passion to help y'all as a community, the people around this country, than to take this shit very personally. So you can imagine this. When I do casework for people, I take it very seriously. It matters to me because there are serious, serious consequences at play when people can't even get what the fuck they paid into. It's called a scam. Isn't it a pyramid scam? You work all your life, you pay taxes, and you can't get one wooden nickel out of the housing authority, not without begging like a $2 hooker on 3rd Street. You got to beg like a dog to get it. So I've made it my personal mission and my life's work to flip that script around to get people what they need at any cost within the bounds of the law. So now you truly understand me, folks. You hang around long enough, you watch enough of these 200 to 300 videos I've made, you'll see the intensity and the wisdom in what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about my opinions. These are not opinions. Most of you watch me carry on and you know that I can verbatim federal law, federal code, and I can talk for 30 minutes. There's no prompter in front of me to tell me these things. I actually know them to the point that I'm able to not have to read anything and look at it. Only a fool needs to read a script. You either know what you're doing or you don't. So that's, part of what we do. And that's why we're talking about portability today. So let's take a few more questions. Candy Girl says 100%. Anyway, it says righteous indignation. I certainly can relate to that. Heather, yes, sir. You're so right. Thank you, Heather. Miranda Nelson, you have seen it take longer than 90 days to find a place for a voucher. Miranda, only in rare cases I've seen that. But I've got to tell you, when the housing market overheated, which means a lot of people went out there and decided to buy a house and they jack up the rents, and a lot of landlords didn't get paid because of evictions. A lot of things have played out in an unusual way since 2019. So for about 2 years now, guys, the system has been changing in a most bizarre way. I had a hard time in 2020 keeping up. The tactics I used for 19 years were starting to become watered down because things were changing so rapidly that I was constantly having to find new and better ways to deal with these situations. But to answer your question directly, I still believe that 90 days is sufficient, but you understand that anytime you have a voucher and you want to utilize that, we should always go after 1 or 2 extensions. There are always possibilities. No reason for you ever to receive a voucher and then at 90 days you haven't found a place that you should turn it in. That's sad that the people sitting over there are going to troll you in a housing authority. They're never going to tell you can file for an extension. They just hope you say fuck it and give up. You see, that's why I'm around, because the housing authority will give you part of the truth, but never the whole truth. They'll never make it their job to actually show you their operational guides and manuals and the stuff that they have to comply with. So a lot of you give up just not knowing, the absurdity. Not only that, being treated like you're actually an inmate in a county jail. I've just talked with a lot of these housing authorities, and just the way they talk to people is appalling. They've done it to me too, so I enjoy it. I quite immensely enjoy when they trash talk, because the reality is when I hammer their ass on the phone, it only takes them about 10 minutes before the phone line goes dead. You know what happens when a person, you're competing with them in a conversation and you can verbatim law and other things? You know what happens? When a person is a stupid asshole, they shut the fuck up. The phone line goes dead. You know why it goes dead? Because they realize, oh my God, he just let me have it. I don't know as much as I thought I did. So you know how many times I've ruined these people? And then when they run out of fucking stupid answers, what does the phone line do? It goes dead. And then once I've shamed that piece of shit at the housing authority, they quietly hang up the fucking phone because there's no competition left. You've been had. Goodbye. So yeah, I do take the job seriously, and I do enjoy hangups because I call right back and I'll keep badgering them. So, anyways, Drilla says I was trying to get help with a lady with her apartment complex who was trying to charge her $1,000 more for subsidized apartments. Yeah, so there's a big problem with that right there, Drea. That's probably going to be a violation of app contract, federal law, federal code. And so it sounded like that was an underhanded deal about to happen. So that is a very blatant violation of discrimination based on. I'd love to know the reason though they're trying to raise that rent like that. It's not possible to do so legally. Roland Bays, actually, thank you a lot. No problem, Roland. Quad girl. So when I hear quad girl, my presumption goes to you may be a paraplegic or a quadriplegic. Would I be right? I know lots of people with disabilities, so I do know what that means, but I'm not suggesting that you're quadriplegic, okay? How many times can I extend my Section 8 voucher? I believe under certain conditions, especially if you have a strong disability, we can do it twice. And we could add another half a year to that. And with legal pressure, even further than that. It's all about knowing what buttons to push with this stuff. You can't ask nicely. You have to force these people with rules, policy, and the law. Okay, when you ask nicely, they assume you don't know anything, and then they just go, "Oh no, we really can't do that," and they're really just ball-faced lying to you. And yeah, and always make sure that when you make requests to do extensions, things like that, phone conversations are worthless. There's not a matter of record. It should always be by mail and email. Hold these people accountable because every time they put a word in an email, or every time they respond by mail, you have it in writing. Phone conversations with housing authorities are the worst possible way. They say more shit to violate the law on the phone than they ever would in an email or anything they can prove. You watch yourself with that stuff. Seriously. Anyway, it says hilarious. Yes. Well, I try. I should have been a stand-up comedian at a Section 8 bar. So, yeah. I got some strong feelings about it. Hagami, Gamey, welcome back again. How can I find a Section 8 landlords for great tenants? So with that, man, that's a tough one. I think that most Section 8 tenants are great. I think it's only when landlords become desperate and don't do their due diligence that they get involved with tenants that mean to do the wrong thing. The news and the newspaper loves the glamorized drama, okay? They love to glamorize political issues, religious issues, and they especially like to target low-income people in Section 8. You've always got, there's a lot of videos on YouTube. People make money off watching videos about, this lady, she come in and ruined my house, and I was renting to her. Those videos, a lot of them are fake. You got people drive around low-income neighborhoods looking for abandoned houses. They record it, pretend they're their house, and then what do? Get 1 million views, okay? So a lot of this shit is just fake. But yeah, there are people that do create problems. But the best way to find good tenants, you want to build a relationship with the director of housing services at the PHA or housing authority, and you should be able to screen. Then you want to determine the type of tenants by the type of voucher they have and whether they're on fixed incomes. So there's about 96 things I usually go over with a landlord before they ever rent. There's a whole lot of things you need to learn. If you don't learn them, you learn them the hard way. But going back to the original question, I'd like to say one more thing to you about that, you being a landlord. Facebook Marketplace is the best place to find the most number of people for rental properties. It is also the very best place, in my professional opinion, for those of you seeking landlords that might give you a potential chance. I know that because I've dealt with over 220 landlords around the U.S. over the years, and I've seen this work very well. Lady TH, I am grateful for you because you tell us the truth. No, I've really got a sailor's mouth, but I am very truthful. So don't confuse it, guys. Yes, I definitely have a sailor's mouth, but I think just expressing it that way. I know that some of the older ladies that are church ladies don't like it, but look, I'm still telling you the truth, despite the language. Okay, So language is a personal preference, but I'm always going to tell you what it is. Okay, moving on. Quad Girl says, I am quadriplegic. See, told you. I like being right about certain things, because I'm able to identify real disabilities. And, that was an easy one for me. Drea W. Was she was zero rent. They really don't have a reason. They've done it to several tenants. Well, if they were not paying any rent and then they started charging 1,000, that might be because there needs to be rent paid. So I don't. That sounds like a bit of an unusual situation. Who lives somewhere without paying rent? Um, Sandra Grinstaff, man, welcome back. She's been around a minute. Know her real well. Hello, Jay. Just saying hi. Appreciate you stopping by, Sonia. We're just rattling on tonight. I had to power blow out today for a couple of hours, so the video's running late. So, guys, we're at 55 minutes and 35 seconds. So I'm going to give you all another 4 minutes to ask any questions you want. But those days of me making 2-hour videos, I'm done with that. Half you don't watch. At 45 minutes, that's when things go downhill. And in an hour, it gets terrible. So it's usually not worth standing longer than that. I know most of you hang around for me to entertain. And I do that sometimes with the profanities and craziness, but yeah. If you have questions about portability, now's the time to ask. If you have questions about your Section 8 voucher, moving, low-income housing, affordable housing, discrimination issues, just about anything to do with Section 8, you're welcome to do so. While I'm saying that, I'm going to go ahead and give you all a few links, as I do with all ending videos. Look, there's 300 videos, guys. There's 1,000 ways to contact me. Just to be aware. One, here comes a link. It's going to be in a chat window. You can also find it in the description of the video. Paste. It's in there. That link right there is strictly to booking software. If you feel like you can utilize my services for a specific problem you have, okay, then do so. As I've always said, I don't believe anybody has money to burn. You do not use me unless you absolutely need to do so, okay? I'm not here to sell this. I only do consults every other day, and I only accept 4, okay? It's not a full-time job for me. Suck it up, guys. I'm going to give you my website. That's for you, 55 and plus, that require all that social proof. Look, do a quick search on YouTube. You'll find out I'm number 1. Do a quick search on Google. You'll find out I'm number 1. I think my reputation pretty much stands for itself. I don't have anything to prove. Last up, guys, I'm going to give you reviews. There are hundreds, literally. You should be aware with reviews. Anytime you get a paragraph review that's nicely put out there, the nice square, long reviews, those are always fake. They're written by somebody, right? When you see real reviews, you'll see. And so I'm going to give you these reviews. Why I say that? Because real reviews often aren't even reviews. Have my clients just complain about problems they're having in the reviews. That's the difference between me hiring somebody in China to write these nice, pretty little reviews and that of real people complaining, moaning, and bitching about all kinds of things in my reviews, okay? And I don't remove any. And by the way, you don't have to hire me to leave a review. That link there to those reviews, let me tell you something. If you're ever having a terrible day and you want to take it out on somebody, look, I encourage you, stop by my review section, leave the most horrifying review about me, okay? My life is not contingent on whether or not you leave me 1 star or you say anything terrible. I don't care. My life does not revolve around reviews. That's why I think it's comical. People take that shit so seriously. I really don't care. So I'm being serious. If you're having an emotional moment and you need somebody to be mean to, save that link, drop by, write out 20,000 pages, leave 1 star. I'm okay with that. Actually, I'll get excited with you. I'm helping you work through your emotional problems and we're getting something achieved, right? So I don't really give a shit about the reviews, but I'm just saying, if y'all want to read some of those, be my guest. There's lots of them, okay? In my hot candy. Hey, I like that name, hot candy. I think it would have sounded better. So it's New York hot candy, right? So that would have been really cool if you'd have just put it just like hot candy. But okay. So, anyways, you were saying I transferred my voucher before the pandemic hit. Well, that was probably a good deal for you to do that because it's tougher now. Yeah, well, you know what, New York hot candy, that's a pretty cool name. Like I said, I don't see that one every day. I see all kinds of pretty good ones. I think that's pretty good. So it grabbed my attention. So you should put the trademark on it, the TM trademark with a circle. They do allow emojis to go into the names of YouTube names, and that'll get people's attention as well. So Anything else you got, Hot Candy, before I go? I've got about 2 minutes left. All right, guys. Last thing I'm going to put on here is a membership link. Yes, I would like to sell y'all some snake oil. The snake oil I'm selling today is going to be a membership to the YouTube channel. They're like $5. If you want to support the cause of this channel, you enjoy what you see, whether you're entertained or learn, then you're welcome to become a member. I'm pushing that lately just because I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's really intended for children that want to make videos about games, and then you become a member. But I do use the money for the memberships to deal with the cats. Got a bunch of cats, and so it goes for the health and benefit of them. So if you're interested in a membership, please join up. They're not very expensive, and it's, like I said, it's snake oil. It's not selling anything legitimate. It's just a membership. Okay, so I'm okay with that. So yeah, if you like to try out a membership, and by the way, look, it does not automatically charge you. Every month, the membership will ask you, do you want to continue this or not? And then that's it. YouTube does not do automatic billing against a card. So if you become a member this month, you know what? I liked him, but now he's just worthless. I'm not going to give him another crispy $5 bill. Then click no. That's it. There's no strange digging through terms of service looking to cancel it. It will ask you for your permission every month. Okay. If I was doing that, I'd have a lot of angry people giving me $5 crispy. All right. So, all right, guys, I've enjoyed talking with y'all. And again, I want to tell you Sunday, if you feel that you're ready and you want to start learning about how to utilize your voucher to purchase a home, come around Sunday. Last Sunday I made the first video. It was a very complex one. We're going to get a little bit deeper into it, and there's going to be several videos, always on Sunday around 4 to 5 Central Standard Time. That's Texas time. So I don't know where you guys are, but it'll be between the 4 and 5 p.m. time. This will help you determine whether or not you have the energy to get involved in this and whether it be worth your time, okay? There is very, very little on the subject matter out there. Even HUD itself, its own website, only gives you 3 paragraphs. That is about as much as you're ever going to get out of Google. It took me a very good while to do this. And the research that I did is quite thorough, and it's at around, as it stands now, it's around 6,000 pages. So I'm not suggesting we're going to go over that, but we're going to go over everything you would likely need to know in a simple way. So if you want to join Miss Sunday to do that, we'll do that. And if not, oh well. Y'all have a good night, all right? Bye-bye.